decimals. So we're going to be solving all operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. We're also going to be converting some measurements, and they will all be using decimals today. So the first one asks us to find the sum of these two numbers. That means we are adding. When we add our numbers and subtract them, we need to make sure our decimals line up. So we'll take our 8.9 and we're going to line up 12.4. So you can see our decimals line up. Our decimal is going to come straight down, and then you'll add as normal. Number 2 asks for the difference, so a subtraction problem. We, again, line up our decimals, so 18.35, and we are subtracting 4.16. You can see our decimals line up there. When we subtract, our decimal will come straight down. One thing to remember as you start this problem, you cannot do 5 minus 6. You're going to need to come borrow. This turns into a 2. This becomes 15. So make sure if you need to that you borrow when you're subtracting. Number 3 asks for the sum of these two numbers. So again, we need to line our number or decimals up in every place. So 145 and 78 hundredths. And we are adding on 237. There's my decimals lined up, 0.9. So you can see these numbers at the end are not lined up, but that's okay. Here's our tenths, our decimal, our ones, tens, hundreds. So we can add ourselves a 0 here to make them match up. Our decimal will come straight down, and you'll add those numbers up. Hey, number 4 asks us to solve this subtraction problem, 5.6 minus h, and it tells us that h equals 3.75. So we take our 5.6, we are subtracting 3 make sure our decimals are lined up, 7, 5. Now, one thing I know some of you like to do is you're like, oh, there's nothing up here. I'll just bring this 5 down. But we can put a 0 here, and you still can't do 0 minus 5. So we need to borrow. So this becomes a 5 and 10. So we can start subtracting. When I come here, I can't do 5 minus 7, so I'm going to need to borrow again. When I finish that problem, my decimal will come straight down. Number 5 asks for the product. That's a multiplication problem. So I'm going to put this on the top just because it has more numbers in it. And now that we're multiplying, we do not need our decimals lined up. We just need to make sure we remember to use them at the end. So we've got 12.1 times 0.46. You don't need to use that decimal, the 0 here, because anything times 0 will just be 0. So we'll start and do 6 times 1, put it here, 6 times 2, 6 times 1 again. Then don't forget that you're going to need that placeholder 0. We'll do 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 1 again. Okay, we'll add everything up. And then in our number, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So that means I need to move my decimal over 1, 2, 3 places to get that final answer. Number 6 is another product. So since we are multiplying, we do not need our decimals lined up. And we're timesing it by 1.23. They happen to line up on this one, but they don't need to on a multiplication problem. So we'll do 3 times 5, 3 times 6, 3 times 1, 3 times 1 again. Then we'll get that placeholder 0. Then we'll do 2 times 5, 2 times 6, 2 times 1, 2 times 2. Now we'll come to our next number. Because it's in the hundredths place, because it's 3 places over, we need those two placeholder zeros. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting my words out. So we'll go ahead and do then 1 times 5, 1 times 6, 1 times 1, 1 times 1. Get those, and then we'll add everything up. Then I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So we need to move our decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places to get that answer. Number 7 asks us to solve for this when D equals 77.88. When the coefficient and the variable are right together, that means to multiply. So I'm going to put 77.88 on top. It's a little easier, and we're going to times that by 13. So 3 times 8, 3 times 8, 3 times 7, 3 times 7. Look at our placeholder 0, 1 times 8, 1 times 8, 1 times 7, 1 times 7. That's a pretty easy problem for you. Then you'll add those up. Then I can see we have 2 decimal places here. So we'll move our answer over, our decimal over 2 decimal places. Hey, number 8 is asking us to change 50 centimeters into millimeters. So you can remember we learned that acronym, King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk, or however you chose to remember it. So I'm here at centimeters. Let me get this clicked back off. So I'm here at centimeters, and we need to go all the way to teeny tiny millimeters. So we're going to go 1 place to the right. So we're at 50, and if there's no decimal, it's at the end. Move over 1 place to the right. Hey, number 9 is another King Henry problem. So we've got King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. We are at liters. That is the unit here, so L. And we need to get all the way over here to milliliters. So we are going 3 places to the right. Notice your decimal starts in the middle here. So you'll go 3 places over. That 6 is already the first place you'll move. Number 10 is a quotient problem, which means to divide. So this is our dividend, the first one. It goes in the den. This is our divisor. What we're dividing by goes on the outside, 0.6. So since this has a decimal here, we need to move it over. What we do to this, we need to do to this one. So we're really doing the problem 240 divided by 6. Hey, number 11 is, sorry, I just got really confused. Yep, number 11. Okay, is 127.5, and we are dividing by 2.5. So divisor, dividend. So we need to move our decimal over 1, move it over 1. So we are really doing 1,275 divided by 25.